Welcome to the launch of Giving Tuesday 2019. My name is Gráinne Mathews and I'm the lead for Giving Tuesday UK, and I'm sure I've probably spoken to or emailed most of you recently about the campaign, so thank you for being so patient. I'm so happy to see so many people here this evening. I know we have some of our partners here, so thank you for getting involved in the campaign again this year. And a special welcome to all of you who have never been involved in the campaign but have taken the time this evening to come hear from our amazing partners and learn more about the campaign. We really appreciate it. I hope that all of you leave here this evening feeling really inspired and excited to get involved in what really is an amazing global generosity movement. Our job this year is to make Giving Tuesday even bigger and better than ever before. And I hope that at the end of this event, if not already, you will be thinking and planning about how you're going to get involved this year. We have a packed agenda for you this evening, so I won't keep you too much longer. You will hear from some of our amazing partners about their Giving Tuesday experiences, what worked, what didn't, and what they have planned for this year. As some of you know, and maybe some of you don't, the Charities Aid Foundation runs the Giving Tuesday campaign here in the UK, and we are incredibly proud to do so. And so I am very happy that you will be hearing from CAF's Chief Executive, Sir John Lowe, who has unwearingly supported our efforts to grow the campaign here in the UK. You will also hear from Brad McAfee, the Global CEO of Novelli, our very kind hosts this evening. Novelli has helped us plan this event, among other things, and are themselves working to spread the good news of Giving Tuesday throughout their international networks. You will also hear from Henry Timms, who created Giving Tuesday back in 2012 and has been instrumental in growing the campaign from one country then to over 55 countries today, and has been instrumental in the campaign every step of the way. There will be time for a quick question and answer session after this first section. Please do tweet, post on Instagram and Facebook during the event. Please remember to use the Giving Tuesday hashtag. So without further ado, I will hand you over to CAF's Chief Executive, Sir John Lowe.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. It's another launch of Giving Tuesday, this amazing movement that has no owner, has no boss. It's yours, it belongs to all of us, and it's great to be part of it. And I think it's an event all about encouraging and celebrating the different ways in which it's possible to donate, to give, to volunteer, to campaign, to share support for good causes. Any cause, the one you're interested in, whatever that happens to be. And it's a little bit under 6 months to go. Gosh, it starts to get more and more exciting in the office as the days clock down. And it's wonderful to see so many of you here. It's great to have the venue filled and to see you making a real effort to get in the lift, to get all the way up here. So the idea of 7 or 8 floors just left me panting after walking from the bus to get to the venue. I'd particularly like to welcome all the Giving Tuesday partners. And do you know, it's you that gives life to Giving Tuesday. It's not a campaign unless you were part of it. And so really, for me, Giving Tuesday is you. It's nothing else but the way we come together and do things to make a big difference on that one day. We aim to make things count around the world at the Charities Aid Foundation. Our objective is to transform more lives, more people's lives in communities all around the world, especially in places where some of the deprivation is at its most severe. And Giving Tuesday is a campaign we're really proud to be the promoter, the leader, if you like, the one that facilitates it and tries to help everyone to make the most of it. Of course, it falls on the Tuesday after Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Oh dear, aren't those great days? Think of the deals you're going to get. You know, have you registered with Amazon yet so that you get that best discount on the thing you never actually wanted in the first place? But it'll be cheap. And then on the Tuesday we can do something to give back, to celebrate the good that's happening, the good that's in the world. and that we can somehow, in this process, beginning tonight, to help you, to support you and your organisation to make the most of the day. It's grown enormously since 2012. Henry, I don't know how he manages to sleep at night, worrying about all the things that are going on around the world on the day itself. And it's now one of those enormous days, the biggest day of giving in 55 countries around the world. And it's been significant here in the UK. We do a lot of research polling at CAF, and one of our polls showed that 1.5 million people said in the UK that they were likely to do something for charity in the future as a result of Giving Tuesday. And that's phenomenal. But that's kind of at the core, it's the essence of the ethos of the campaign, to reach people who wouldn't normally be involved in the work of charity, might not even think of certain activities as charitable, and inspiring them to get involved and to do something for others, to do some good all the year round. We also publish research on giving trends, and UK Giving is one of the flagship pieces of research which has been running for a number of years, so you get a good longitudinal view of what's happening. And in the latest research, we saw this worrying trend, which is also reflected in other countries, the US, for example, where the number of people giving to charity is declining. It's slow, but it's declining. The amount given, it holds up, which means that fewer people are giving more, which is really interesting and needs more digging, and I know the team are looking in deeper. But these are uncertain times, they're unprecedented times of divisions in our society, of uncertainty, of tension between people. And these are the days when we ought to be celebrating the work that's done without profit, without anything but the social purpose to make the world a better place. You saw some of the stats on the screen earlier. Last year, $98 million donated to good causes through PayPal alone worldwide, up 53% on the year before. And in the UK, we've got, it's difficult to measure it because it's a movement and we don't know what's going on in the movement. It's uncontrolled. It's this great event. But we think about 7.8 million was donated online in the UK on Giving Tuesday last year. And we were #1 on Twitter in the UK every year since it started here, every year without fail. And last year we had a whole selection of celebs. And this is always difficult for me because I don't know which celebs you would like to be associated with, you see. I'm not even sure who some of them are, although I vaguely do. The people in the office do, at least some of them do, I think. But Victoria Beckham, Stephen Fry, Dua Lipa, Sir Patrick Stewart, Carla Delevingne, Sir Richard Branson, beauty face as some call him. But seriously, lots of people of significant influence willing to get on their phones and to tweet out about Giving Tuesday, and I hope practically support as well. So, how are we going to get bigger and better this year? How are we going to top it? Well, the answer to that question is with you. It's what are you going to do? What are you going to create out of this opportunity? It's great. We're proud to be working with 2,600 organisations. The number grows every day. You have a look at the list and it's getting bigger. Already getting ready for Giving Tuesday. And I'm really pleased that some of our partners can come and tell their story this afternoon, this evening. Tell us a bit about what they were doing, because it's that real life, speaking about what happened on the ground, that is just fascinating. I have to say a big thank you to Porter Novelli for their hosting this more or less, for hosting us this evening. Up on the terrace, looking out over London at its best. It's fantastic, isn't it? And on a warm day with a glass of cool white wine, it'll be perfect. And that's obviously what Giving Tuesday's about. But it's good to celebrate, isn't it? And I hope you feel inspired as you leave tonight, motivated to help make Giving Tuesday 2019 the biggest and best it's ever been, and for you to be a part of something quite special. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. It's Brad McAfee, who's the global CEO of our hosts, Porto Novelli, and he's based in New York, and he flew over specially just to come and speak to us this afternoon. Or at least he fitted us into his schedule. Anyway, Brad, thank you for your support. Please come up and have a chat.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge a few people as we get into our discussion tonight. 100 Agency is here, and the leadership of our European group. John O'Brien is here, and Emma Sargent, I believe, is also here as well. And 100 is an organization designed specifically to help nonprofit and charity organizations with their strategy and all their marketing efforts. So, John, thank you very much for being here. I would be remiss if I didn't call out my colleagues at Porto Novelli. Our leadership, our chair is here, Fenella Gray. Our co-managing director, Joe Patterson, is here. Nicole Yost, who's unable to be here, but here in spirit. And the whole entire team. Being in London this week has been nothing shy of amazing. And partially because we were able to pull together this event. This is a special event. And I want to kind of just maybe take a step back for a moment and how we got involved and why we got involved. Right? And so it's a story that goes back to Pershing Square, a little cafe right next to Grand Central in New York, where if anyone would have been in the restaurant at the time, they would have seen a guy, me, acting a bit like an excited fanboy as I waited to meet Henry Timms. And I was with a couple colleagues, and they would tell you I was genuinely excited because, quite frankly, I've been watching Giving Tuesday. And how many of these moments can you think of where there's an event that generates so much impact, all in one moment, and then carries it forward? And then all of a sudden, we're talking about this 7 years later in 55 countries. Hundreds of millions of dollars, euros, pounds being created to help generate the type of impact for organizations and causes around the globe because of a single idea from an individual who decided to challenge convention and be a bit of a disruptor. I mean, so I was pretty excited, I have to tell you. And so Henry sits down, we're in the booth, and I ask him how he created this, and he's telling us the story, and I'm getting more and more excited. But I asked him, I said, so how can we help? Because I'm anxious. I'm anxious for Porto Novelli to get involved in some way. Because at Porto Novelli, the reason for our existence is to make a positive impact, and we do that, and we happen to do that through communications. But I was excited, and one of the things Henry was saying is there's been so many charitable organizations and nonprofit organizations that really maximize the opportunity of Giving Tuesday. But he said if there was another opportunity, it would be to get brands involved, corporations, the public sector. How could they start to use scale and the power of their customer base, their stakeholder base, to amplify all the great causes and works of all these nonprofit organizations and create more volunteerism and create more charitable giving, right? So you look at that and I go, well, that's a powerful ask. It's a fairly big one, but it's a powerful ask, right? And so we knew at Porto Novelli, we've done a lot of research as well, just like CAF has, and some of our research around brands has suggested the following. 88% of consumers would prefer to buy a product if they believe that that company and that product aligns with their values. You've probably heard some of this. 80% of consumers would like a company to take a position on social issues. So for us, this started to seem very aligned with what we're trying to do as an organization. So getting corporations involved seemed like a great opportunity for us. And I think there is a fantastic opportunity for brands. If you look at one model here in the United Kingdom, Comic Relief, right, and Red Nose Day, what you've seen is you've seen brands come in and integrate into that opportunity and make the most of that giving moment. And so I have to tell you, I think we have that moment collectively for Giving Tuesday, to use our scale and our reach. And I don't mean just Port Novelli. So one of the pledges that we make, and we're making again here, is that we are going to promote Giving Tuesday throughout all of Omnicom and the agencies in Omnicom. We are going to promote this with our clients that represent both nonprofit foundations but also brands, to get involved. And when I talk about what we will do is we're going to encourage every single one of our clients to be putting Giving Tuesday on their map so that everyone knows what December 3rd is all about. I think for our ability to make an impact, that's what this profession does. If you think about the people in this room, marketing, communications, advertising, a great opportunity to drive awareness where there wasn't, educate where education's needed, and drive behavior and change in those moments and those opportunities. So for us, this is great, and we couldn't be more thrilled to get more organizations involved in Giving Tuesday. But that also then leads me to really the reason why I think everyone's here is to hear from the person who conceived of this idea, and if you think about this, selflessly, then turned around and gave it away. I mean, the thing that was so surprising to me in that first conversation is he said, you could go, this is my words, and bastardize the logo as much as you want. I mean, think about causes and organizations that basically say, take our brand, do what you need, because the cause is much bigger than the logo. So if it ends up being your Giving Tuesday, have it be your Giving Tuesday, but make the most of it. That's an impressive thing. So I'm sure you all want to hear from this guy, who's I also like to consider a friend, but he is a former CEO of 92nd Street Y. He's the current CEO and executive director at Lincoln Center. He is the founder of Giving Tuesday, and if you haven't done this yet, please read his book. It's incredible. He is the author of New Power. It is a fantastic read and will absolutely change you from a business perspective. So let's bring up Henry Timms, our main speaker for this evening.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Brad. Thank you to all of the team at CAP who do such an amazing job of making Giving Tuesday happen, not just here in the UK, but also the team in Russia done an amazing job. You might not immediately think that Giving Tuesday Russia was going to be a huge success, but actually it's one of the most successful activations we've seen around the whole world, and the team there, led by Masha, has done an extraordinary job of taking Giving Tuesday to scale. So I'm just so pleased to be here with all of you today. I have to say it's slightly surreal. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not a native New Yorker. So I am back home, and I couldn't be happier to be back home 7 years on, looking at what has been achieved by Giving Tuesday. And I think when you think about Giving Tuesday, the extraordinary thing about how it has grown, we tell this story sometimes, we kind of gave it away. Right, we gave it away, and as if by magic, then it started to surge and move around the world. But the truth of it wasn't like we released it and then it just ran happily around the world and did everything it needed to do. It succeeded to the extent it has because people kept stepping up for this project and leading it somewhere else. It was a different kind of leadership that made Giving Tuesday work. It wasn't that we gave up on leadership. We just exercised leadership in a different way. And my colleague Asha Curran, who is the CEO of Giving Tuesday as of last week, she took on the overall leadership of Giving Tuesday. She, more than anyone, has shaped the global direction of this. And when she talks about Giving Tuesday leadership, she says it's not just the thing we see with Giving Tuesday leaders isn't just how Giving Tuesday leaders succeed, but we see how people succeed in a new power world. You think about what makes people good at Giving Tuesday, right? What's good about all of you bringing together communities around things that matter? What's good about CAF that coalesces this incredible community in one room? What people who lead Giving Tuesday do well is they, number one, leave their ego at the door. This is not an organization made up of superstars, right? It's an organization made up of superconductors, people who can actually shine the light of other people more effectively. It's full of entrepreneurial people. Giving Tuesday doesn't work without entrepreneurs. It doesn't work without people who say, I've got this new idea. We did a survey which showed that 80% of organizations on Giving Tuesday were trying something new. Right? So this is an organisation which is full, Giving Tuesday as a movement, is full of entrepreneurs. It's full of people who by necessity collaborate. Right? Giving Tuesday isn't about one cause. It's about all of the causes. One of the great myths that all of you have helped to puncture with Giving Tuesday is the idea that the charity world is some kind of Hunger Games, right? Where we're all fighting against each other for the same precious resources. Instead, we can flip that dynamic, right? And we can flip the dynamic and actually prove that there are moments that we can grab the narrative. And I think of all the achievements of Giving Tuesday, and I know we'll hear about some case studies tonight of things that have gone well, of all the achievements of Giving Tuesday, the one which strikes me particularly now is it's proven something about what people are capable of if they lead in a new way. Right? Giving Tuesday wasn't one organisation imposing its will upon the world. It was lots of good people, and there are 150 of them right here tonight, who grabbed this idea and took it and just made it that bit stronger. Time and time again, people grabbed it and made it that bit stronger. And this movement now is in 60 countries officially. It touches now 100 countries all around the world. And in every single one of those countries, there's a group of people just like you, who are getting together about this time of year, and they're working out how they this year are going to put Giving Tuesday on the map. And that matters for two reasons. It matters, of course, because all the good things you're going to hear about, all of the organisations that will benefit, right? The pounds raised, the volunteer hours given, the things donated. All of those things will matter for all of us as organisations. I run an organisation in New York, we'll be thinking about our own organisation. But Giving Tuesday proves something else too. It proves that in this world where we see these kinds of, our whole life now is these huge spikes, right? These huge spikes of anxiety, this breaking news, these things that grab our attention and make us feel like we don't matter and we don't count. We have this world right now which is so connected with technology, but has become disconnected in human terms. Right? That's the great irony of our age, is we're connected by technology and disconnected in human terms. And in that world, we have an obligation, I think, to try and work out how we can tell a different story about what it means to be part of a community, what it means to be a human being. So as we think about Giving Tuesday this year, the global context, we're going to think about Giving Tuesday where geopolitically there's fear, there's concern, there's worry, there's anxiety. We don't trust our neighbours, we don't trust our institutions, we don't trust our governments. In that context, it couldn't be more important in my mind to have some kind of moment where we recognise that no matter what divides us around the world, no matter what our politics, what our background, what our opinions, there are some things that we all share. And one of the things that we all share is capacity to care for one another. And if there's one thing at the heart of Giving Tuesday, it's that capacity to care for one another. And I'm so grateful to all of you. And on behalf of myself, on behalf of Asha Karan and all of the Giving Tuesday team, I want to thank all of you for what you've done in years past, but most of all, what you'll do this year. Because I think this year is going to be a very big year for Giving Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about Tiny Tickers. As you said, it's a very small charity. There's only 6 of us on the staff team. I'm the only one who works full-time, so we're very small in the world of charities. But we've been asked to come along and tell you a little bit about our story of Giving Tuesday last year, which, spoiler alert, it went quite well. I guess I probably wouldn't be standing here if it hadn't. So it went really well from us. And so my message really is to any small charities out there that do roll your sleeves up and get involved, because you will reap the rewards. So I'll tell you a little bit about Tiny Tickers and what we do first of all. So around 1 in every 125 babies is born with a congenital heart disease. And that's a big old number that a lot of people don't realise it's as common as it is. We're a very small charity, and we're there to help those babies, particularly through finding them. So roughly 1,000 babies every year in the UK leave hospital, newborn babies leave hospital without anyone realising that they've got a heart problem. And very sadly, in some cases, that means that they're not going to survive. The NHS does a wonderful job once those babies are getting into their care system. I know that because my own daughter was born with a heart condition at 8.5 hours of open heart surgery when she was three weeks old. What Tiny Tickers is here to do is to make sure those babies make it to the operating table. So one of the things we do is fund the machine that you can see in the picture there. That's a midwife in Leeds doing a test on a newborn baby, and that test is called a pulse oximetry test. And what that does, very simply, is it measures the amount of oxygen in the baby's blood. And a low reading could be a sign that a baby has a heart defect and would trigger further investigations. So last year we started funding those machines, and we launched an appeal called Test for Tommy, named after a little baby who tragically passed away. And we launched that appeal about a month before Giving Tuesday. And then my head of fundraising came up with the idea that on the day itself we should try to re-energise that appeal and to use Giving Tuesday as a platform to engage our supporters, to reach new audiences, and to really be the second leg of that appeal and push the appeal further. So our goal for the day was really simple. As a small charity, we said, right, one of these machines costs £750. So let's raise enough money on the day to buy one machine. So the reference I put on the slide here is that we got our Blue Peter style totalizer ready. I realise, having met quite a few of you, that many of you will not have a clue what Blue Peter is. But for those of you who aren't British and aren't of a certain generation, Blue Peter was a children's programme that did an annual appeal. I assume they still do. So we wanted to use the day to start off at zero and to say, really, here's something very tangible. Let's raise £750 and fund one of those machines. So we decided we'd do that through social media. Our small charity budget was £0, so we had no money to spend on this. So we decided that we would set up a Facebook fundraiser, and we'd use our text donation platform and our online donation platform, and we'd see what we could do. I've just got a few examples of what we did. So first of all, we came up with a couple of case studies. So we had Ruby and Elsie and their parents talking about their particular journeys. When we launched Test for Tommy, that was a very sad story, and the appeal was named after Tommy, who, as I said, passed away sadly, 11 days old. What we decided with Giving Tuesdays, we wanted to bring a bit of fun and a bit of good news into the appeal. So we had 2 case studies that ended with a positive outcome for the babies, and their parents very kindly helped us do Instagram posts, helped us do some Facebook memes. My head of fundraising then convinced me to do a charity video, as you can see in the bottom corner there. So unfortunately our supporters were treated to me holding up a machine, explaining what the machine does and telling them all about it. That was the very first thing we did in the morning, was me saying, look, here is the machine, here is a machine, we want to buy another one of these. And then, as I said, as the day went on, we tried to be as responsive as possible and to build up the momentum and really to put anything we could. And we had a bit of fun with it, so we broke out the Tom Hanks memes and we broke out the Friends memes. I did a couple of Facebook takeovers, one at lunchtime or one in the evening, where we said, right, you can ask us about the appeal, ask us about Giving Tuesday, but also ask us about tiny tickers. So come in with any questions you want, and to really make it sort of personal and to build up some enthusiasm. And I did a Twitter takeover as well. So that's just a few examples of the type of thing that we did. And it went really well for us. So our target initially was to raise £750 for one machine. We beat that sixfold. We raised £4,500. And that enabled us to buy 6 machines, which was beyond our wildest dreams, so it's fantastic. And to be able to be able to give that feedback as the day built and the momentum built around the day was absolutely fantastic. So I was very briefly asked to just to explain a little bit for the benefit of other small charities what we think caused that success. And so we were chatting about this, and we think linking to an established campaign was a really good idea, rather than trying to introduce something new to our supporters. Most of the donors were engaging our warm supporters, although we did break beyond that as well. We think having a tangible target really worked. Very first thing in the morning, standing up saying, look, here's a video, here's a machine, this is what it does, help us buy another one. Having that very tangible target, rather than just saying, can we have some money please, and we're not going to tell you where it's going to go to, that really helped as well. We had multiple ways to donate. So as I said, we did Facebook fundraiser, we had donating through our website, we had a text donate system as well. So we had lots of different ways that people can get engaged across the different social media platforms. And we had those emotive case studies. Someone mentioned earlier that some causes out there are very difficult to engage the public with. Babies and heart defects is not one of those causes, I've got to be honest. It's one that is very emotive. And the one thing we have got at Tiny Tickers is a lot of case studies that we can use. I think those are kind of the obvious things that you would probably try to do with any appeal, any campaign. The thing that really worked for us with Giving Tuesday is that we spent the whole day focused on it as a team. So we said, this isn't something that we're going to schedule some posts and then sit back and see what happens. This is a day where the entire team are using their private Facebook and Twitter accounts, where as a group we're coming together, the 6 of us, and we're really making a big deal of this, and we're engaging with our supporters. My head of fundraising told me I had to put this one up. I don't know whether I was a help or not, but I got involved all day. So as I said, I did social media takeovers, we did videos, we really tried to make it personal. As a small charity, that's one of the things that we're able to do. We're able to be responsive, and we're able to be very personal and get to know our supporters and then get to know us. So we made sure we did a lot of that on the day. And we were very organic with our updates. So as I said, we were breaking out memes every time we got a big donation. We were thanking people as we went. So again, it wasn't just schedule and see. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun as well. So as I said, to sum it up, we didn't just schedule and hope, we lived and breathed the day. And hearing everyone today has been really interesting, because as the day went on, we started out thinking, this is an appeal about tiny tickers, and as the day progressed, we realised actually we're part of something bigger here. We're part of this movement, we're part of what's going on around the world, and that was really special for us, because as a small charity, you often work in isolation. To suddenly realise that you're getting tweets and messages back from people supporting other charities, you're seeing the activity that's going on the day, and you're part of that wider global movement was really, really good for us. And what it meant, as well as the money, it gave our brand awareness and people's knowledge of Tiny Tickers an absolutely huge boost. The number of new followers we had on social media, and those people have then gone on to become donors or regular givers or supporters in other ways. The one thing that we didn't manage to do, which has been mentioned quite a few times today, is involve too many brands in it, and I think that's the thing that we're going to try to capitalise on this year. We were hoping we might get some match funding from the brand. We didn't manage to pull that off. One of the reasons I'm mentioning that, because there's some brands in the room. I'll be available on the terrace later. We've got some good ideas about what we want to do this year. This is little Rocco. He's on our thank you cards. That's the thank you card we send to people who donate. He's had a heart condition, he's had surgery, he's doing really well. And so just to sum up, because of those 6 machines and because of Giving Tuesday, every year in the UK, 9,000 newborns will be tested by those machines, and will now have a test that they haven't had previously. And within those, there are bound to be some babies who will have a heart defect that hasn't been spotted, and maybe, just maybe, those machines will help save their lives. So for me, Giving Tuesday was an enabler. It enabled us to do that. It enabled us to reach a new audience. It enabled us to buy those machines, and was more successful than we could ever have thought. So just to finish, we are already actively planning this year's campaign, but no spoilers on that one. Keep that under wraps. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
So my name is Sarah Fleming, and I am the head of charity for PayPal UK. I've been asked today to talk to you a little bit about why we've partnered with Giving Tuesday, a little bit about some of our successes, some of the challenges, and then really why corporations in general should get involved in the movement. So we've been partnering with Giving Tuesday since its inception in 2012. We've been immensely proud to be a partner of this movement that has inspired so much generosity. I know it's been told a couple times, so I mean, just to give you a size of the scale and the importance that we've seen. Last year, globally, we raised or processed over $98 million globally through the PayPal network. And to give you a size of that scale, overall, we've processed about $9.5 billion throughout the year. So for that one day, that's actually a very sizable chunk of donations, and as we've already said, it's a massive movement that we are very proud to be behind, and we feel like we can even do more. So why have we chosen to get involved? Well, a key tenet of our mission is really to make it easier than ever for people to be able to support their favorite causes and to give as easy as possible. So when you have a movement like this, you've got people that are excited, you've got people that are motivated, they're inspired. How do you make sure that they're able to give their donation as fast as possible so you catch them in that moment? And Giving Tuesday has really been instrumental in driving more awareness and driving more donations and more charities to get behind the day. So our role is really just to make that as seamless as possible. So over the years, we supported a number of ways. Last year, we decided to do a match donation of £50,000. Within the first 5 minutes, that match donation was gone. So that might be one of the reasons why. And you can imagine all the people one of the guys in this room actually, who had to go and scurry and change all of our marketing emails to say, actually, there's no more funding left. But as we dug into it a bit more, what we found was that there was a few charities that were very small in size, most of them we never actually heard of, who had rallied their communities to say, hey, when the clock strikes midnight, PayPal is going to be offering match donations, so make your money go even further, help us even more than you ever could by donating at this time. And so that right there, I think we realized not only do we have to reconsider, obviously, the matching and how that process works, but also how do we really rally not only charities, but all of their networks to get behind this cause? I think one of you had mentioned, you know, talking about an individual cause that might be difficult for people to understand or to get behind. I don't know if you've seen sort of one of the recent third sector publication that talked about, you know, from 16 to 26-year-olds, one of the main reasons they give is because they like to help people. And so you see these circles, these social circles of people that are fundraising for individuals, whether it's on Facebook or on GoFundMe or just giving. And so we actually have seen spikes of those circles popping up on Giving Tuesday and people saying, you know what, maybe there's not a cause I'm particularly behind, but I care about this individual. So how do you make sure that you're utilizing that power of the network and not just your organization, but all of those ambassadors that you have? So we're definitely going to do a lot more around that this year. One of the biggest challenges I think we face, and I know we've kind of been talked about the narrative of Giving Tuesday sort of changing into more of this global movement. I think for us, I'm American, so I totally get the whole Thanksgiving thing. I'm still thinking about gluttonous turkey, and then by the time Tuesday rolls around, I'm like, right, I need to give something back because I've ate too much and bought too much. And so that's sort of, I think, always stuck in my head. And as an American coming over to the UK, I'm very surprised by the number of either customers that we have or charities who don't quite understand why on this particular day. And so I think that narrative, and it's up to each and every one of us in this room to start to build that, and that's something that we want to use our power, our marketing, all the way that we talk about Giving Tuesday to make that super clear so that everyone understands what this movement actually is and they feel inspired to get behind it on that particular day. And so for us, not only has Giving Tuesday really helped us connect with more charities and more donors, but it actually really has strengthened our partnerships within other organizations and other corporations. And so as we talked about, obviously charitable giving and getting involved with causes is very important to a corporation and to their brand. But it also has helped us build relationships in numerous different ways because you have a common ground, which is just how do we do more to enable good. So I'm very happy to answer any questions anyone might have later about the specific benefits for a corporation. If you're thinking about it, if you're twiddling your thumbs, just do it. Take a chance, take a risk, try something new. I mean, it can't hurt you. In the end, I think there's a lot of learnings that we can all pull together to make this the best Giving Tuesday ever.
Hi, so I'm Corinna, I'm from SightSavers. I'm a digital fundraiser there. SightSavers, if you don't know, is an amazing international charity dealing with avoidable blindness in developing countries. So I've been asked to talk to you today about our also amazingly successful campaign for Giving Tuesday 2018. So firstly, I have to start with a confession because we didn't actually plan for Giving Tuesday in its own right. What we did was sit down and start mapping out our Christmas appeal, supporting our our direct mail campaign. So what we do in July, August time every year is sit down and map out that appeal that supports the direct mail campaign. So we get all our colleagues in a room that are relevant from the social team, the content collection teams, the digital fundraising teams, and kind of map out a plan for that activity. So we think through all the different mail drops and key dates, annual or seasonal events that are happening, and that's where Giving Tuesday came up. And what we also had during that time was an amazing offer from a generous donor, so match funding seems to be a bit of a theme here. We were promised a very generous amount of money from a match donor, but on the condition that we used it to do something that we'd never done before, and it had to be something digital. So it kind of reverts back to what Henry was saying about people doing something new and experimenting. So that's the Giving Tuesday opportunity really seemed like an amazing one to test this match funding offer. So we decided to create a Giving Tuesday, sort of a mini appeal in the midst of this Christmas cash journey. So this is not kind of a rocket science appeal, not quite as exciting as John's appeal, but we decided to, as I said in the last slide, map our activity into a wider SightSavers appeal, so people would have already received a few different emails, they received a pack in the post before they get any of our Giving Tuesday comms. And we mapped it into the wider Giving Tuesday appeal, so we went online and saw all the amazing assets that were available on the CAF website, but also the global website for Giving Tuesday, so lots of amazing content ideas on there and branding and logos. We made sure that we maximised all of that. We planned a multi-day campaign, so we launched on Black Friday. Keep wanting to say Black Thursday, but that's not a thing. So we launched on Black Friday and with a teaser about this amazing opportunity that we were going to roll with on Giving Tuesday, and we had multiple posts and emails and activity online throughout that weekend, through the Monday. And then on the Giving Tuesday, we revealed this match funding offer, launched that first thing in the morning across different channels. Yeah, so it was a multi-channel approach. So I think a lot of people just think of it as a social media activity and just use the hashtag, but we found that there's much more power activating it across different digital channels. And yeah, as I said, we had this amazing match funding offer, so it was a very opportune message where we had just this amazing time-limited chance to give to an appeal that people were already warmed up to in the previous weeks. So this is me. Well, it's not me, obviously. It's this is my face when we checked in on Google Analytics at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. I just thought, oh, I better check, see what's happening, and we'd already hit we've got halfway towards our match funding target at 9:30 in the morning. Thank goodness I checked, and so we had to scurry around to our amazing major donor team. I think Robbie might be here. He said he was going to be here. So our major donor team quickly got on the phone to the generous donor, the original donor, who agreed to increase the match funding quite significantly, and also to another donor who also agreed to feed in extra money so that we could legitimately carry on the campaign for the rest of the day, so that we didn't have to start scurrying around, refocusing all of our comms, although we still did have to do that because we hit the full match funding target almost by the end of the day. So we saw incredible uplift, 450% uplift in our daily online donations on that day. That was directly attributable, so it had come through that specific donation funnel on our website. And that was made up of 640 individual donations, so a huge amount of individual donations, and our average is only 80. There were, in the days following, there were another sort of 45 or 50 additional donations that were directly attributable to, so it was beat all of our expectations. So what next? And it's really interesting to hear from the global team, because we're really interested to test new markets. We talked the Irish team into going with Giving Tuesday in 2018, and 10% of our donations actually came from the Irish donors when they didn't think there would be that much traction, but they were definitely warm to it too. So we actually already currently fundraise in the Nordics, Italy and the US, so we're definitely looking to actively target those markets. Our major donor is very interested in us experimenting and taking this forward. We're interested in trialling it across new channels and media. We're looking at investing in paid media to increase the reach. And most importantly, we are planning, obviously, in Giving Tuesday in its own right this year, and not just as a kind of let's give it a chance and see, because we saw absolutely incredible results. It was our most successful email campaign to date on that year, beat anything else we did for Christmas. So I would encourage you all to do the same. Thank you very much.